Alright guys, I'm Darryl McCoy.
I'm Kobe Page.
On today's show of David and Darryl Sports, we pay tribute to Gabby McCoy.
Got plenty of news from NBA free agency.
All that and more coming up next on David and Darryl Sports. Alright guys, I'm Darryl McCoy.
I'm Kobe Page.
And we're back for another episode of David and Darryl Sports. Kobe, want to start today with a tribute to Gabby McCoy. Just want to say, I know you're from the Phelps community. Our producer, Will, Big Willie's from the Phelps community. And, I know that Gabby, what little I knew her, she would message the page all the time wanting us to do stuff. That's how I got to know Gabby, and she was just an affectionate kid, and I couldn't imagine what y'all were feeling over in that Phelps community, and I just give my condolences.
Yeah, I live in Pikeville now. I didn't know Gabby personally either. My father knew her, and he drove the basketball bus, the girls' basketball bus, in the last few years, and has gotten to know her as part of the team. I've not heard anything but beautiful things about this young lady. She'll be sorely missed, and nothing but prayers and condolences to her and her family, and moving forward, that's all we can really do is pray for them. She also, tied into the sports, she was a great basketball player for that Phelps Lady Hornets team.
She was going to be a big piece to this year's team, and I know that her teammates and coaches. I mean, that's the least of the worries, but yeah. I mean, I know that she's going to be sorely missed on that Phelps team this year.
And then you got that team moving forward. Not only playing without a piece on the court, but a piece of their family. I mean,
yeah.
that you know as well as I do, sports teams become your family.
Yeah, they are, and especially in areas like Phelps, But with all that being said, guys, please continue to pray for not only Gabby's teammates, the community, her coaches, and most of all her family, and because they can use all the prayers that they can get right now. But you'll be greatly missed here, Gabby. But want to move on.
Tough to transition from that, but we're going to have to.
NBA free agency. Now, I've been all week long, we've been calling each other back and forth, talking about the moves and that each team has made.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like I told you last week, the NBA offseason is a lot bigger than the NBA regular season right now, I think.
We talked about the draft last week. And you know what? I kind of said you got to wait out and see how the draft happens. This week of NBA free agency, I think it means so much more to these general managers, these teams, than that draft does. There's a lot more excitement, a lot more work that goes into the free agency than the draft, I believe.
Well, we just got some breaking news that just come in. Willie Cauley-Stein signed with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
that right there, Willie is he surprised people last year. He averaged 12 points, I think, right around 8 rebounds. He showed at Kentucky that what kind of player he can be. He can guard any position on the floor. I think at Golden State, he's going to fit in perfectly there because they had a Willie Cauley type player before when they had JaVale McGee.
Yeah.
And he's exactly the same type of player that Willie is, and I think he's going to fit in perfect with the way he can run the floor.
The Warriors have always had some type of big man that can get in there and do some dirty work along with Draymond. I'll tell you what, I mean, it's going to be hard to find a team out of the West. Obviously, the Lakers are going to be.
They're going to be the front runners.
But I mean, let's look at this. They still have Steph. Golden State still has Steph, Draymond. You throw in Willie Cauley in there, and Clay just signed a max extension with him as well. He's going to be out some of next year, but I mean that's a pretty solid team.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you is they signed D'Angelo Russell. Now D'Angelo Russell, I just don't see where he fits there because he's a point guard, and his shooting is why everybody's so high on him right now.
Right.
But they got Clay. Now Clay's hurt. I wonder if they done that just to kind of fill the gap, or if they done it to kind of, maybe in the future have a trade piece.
Well, the trade piece could be potentially huge, but if you look back at Golden State, they've had backup guards to come in and give Clay and Steph some spells. So that I think that you got this kid coming in, you got D'Angelo coming in to play for Clay until he comes back. When he does come back, he's got at least half a season of experience. He'd be a huge asset off the bench for Steph and Clay.
Well, my move, Golden State Warriors. What are you doing? I mean, Boogie took the minimum last year to come play and possibly win a championship. Right now Boogie don't have no suitors as far as big market teams offering to give him the max. I don't know why Golden State can't meet in the middle there and offer him something that could keep him there in Golden State, because next year they're going to miss KD, and having somebody like Boogie down low, that would help Golden State tremendously, especially with Klay Thompson out.
The only counter argument to that, Darryl, is the injury bug. Boogie missed quite a bit of the playoffs due to injury. Missed a lot of last season due to injury. That would be the only thing I could see holding him back from paying him anything, is just the fact that he may have a tough time staying healthy.
Well, can I give you a bold prediction here?
Let's hear it.
The Brooklyn Nets is not going to be as good as advertised.
I tend to agree with you there. I mean, KD's going to be out. Those Achilles injuries, they're a coin flip. You just never know what's going to happen as far as coming back from those things.
Kyrie has missed 66 games over the last 3 years. Kyrie has never been healthy. What has Kyrie Irving done without LeBron James?
Not a great deal. And he's also, I think he's a head case. I mean, he's.
I'm just not a big Kyrie fan, and I tried to like him. Even though he's a dookie, I'm sure that probably got a lot to do with it. But Kyrie is he's not done anything. Like when he was with LeBron, his legacy was he was the clutch shooter. He was exactly what LeBron needed. Now, whenever he started all that in Cleveland, won it out there, pushed his way out. I think that kind of rubbed people the wrong way, but I just do not see. I mean, him and KD, they're both kind of the same type of player. They get their feelings hurt.
Yeah, they both take it in the feels. Yeah. Whenever they get down in the media and they let it show.
And DeAndre Jordan, he fits that same mold.
Yeah.
I think Brooklyn is just. I think all of them guys are the type. I think them 3 guys. I think they may gel, but I think. They're not. They need some veteran presence in there that will help them win a championship. Because right now, I don't have a lot of faith. I know on paper on NBA 2K that might be the it team. But I don't think once you roll the ball out there, I think there are going to be some problems. But if it does work out, sky's the limit.
Okay, you bar the door.
Yeah.
You got. We talk about some other UK signings. Jamal Murray signed his extension.
Huge deal.
Yeah, with Denver. Enes Kanter signed a $10 million deal with Boston.
That's
two-year, $10 million deal with Boston.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. Enes Kanter, that right there was huge for Boston because they needed that. They had no true center on their roster.
Lost Al Horford.
Yeah.
So that filled a gap for them. There's a story floating around that Portland made Enes an offer and they gave him 6 minutes to respond to it to decide if he wanted to take it, and he didn't, and he went to the Celtics.
So you see, that's the thing with Enes Kanter. He's got a lot of issues off the court with his family and the stuff with Turkey and all that stuff. But or it may not be Turkey, but I think
he's from Turkey.
And but with Enes Kanter, I'm very high on Enes Kanter. He fits Brad Stevenson's system. He's a fundamentally sound player. I think he will be one of the best things to ever happen to that Boston team. And be honest, I think Kyrie might be kind of an addition by subtraction for the Celtics.
I agree with you. He wasn't happy there.
Yeah.
He didn't like the media there. He just seemed to not like playing on that team.
Yeah.
And so you get rid of that. That's just something. That's just one less thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One less thing that Boston has to deal with.
Well,
and we'll just kind of see how it goes. That's a good way to put it, addition by subtraction.
You talked about Portland, kind of giving him a 6-minute window to sign. That may be true because, to be honest, they may not have wanted him to stay there because the fact that they got Hassan Whiteside from Miami. I don't know if you're aware of Whiteside, but he's one of my favorite players in the NBA. Everybody, he was down there in Miami, so a lot of people slept on him. But the guy is a shot blocker. He controls the paint. Yeah. Him there with Lillard and CJ. Yeah. That's the team right there that's going to in the West. I'm telling you, mark it down. The Portland Trail Blazers will be one of the top 3 teams in the West next year.
Yeah, they made the final. They made the Western Conference Finals this year.
Hassan Whiteside's that big of an impact.
Yeah.
So another Kentucky player, Julius Randle, he's going to my Knicks.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and tell you, when you talk about head cases, the Knicks, we're the biggest head case in the NBA. We got the worst owner, James Dolan. I mean, he should have his rights.
We'll talk about him a little bit later.
Yeah, he should have his rights took away. But the Knicks, here's what they did. They got rid of the franchise in Porzingis 2 years ago. They done that saying, oh, well, in 2019 we can sign 2 max players. All right. They had us believing that Kyrie and KD was the 2 players that was going to meet in New York and take us to glory land. That didn't work. So what the Knicks, they kind of do is they go and sign players like Julius Randle, which I'm very high on Randle. I love Randle. He's a walking double-double. But then they get players like Wayne Ellington, Bobby Portis, Elfrid Payton. They give them max contracts or right below max contracts. And that right there is why the Knicks is where they're at. If you can't get it, save the money. Pile it up for next year. Change the culture there. You got big player in R.J. Barrett coming in. But I do like signing all these players. They're all very good players, but they're not going to take us to the promised land.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Looks like what we talked about last week, or maybe a week before last, about the Lakers. They dumped some more players to make room to sign another max contract if they can. They seem to be really highly in the running for Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, really, that's the only other chip on the table when it comes to big deal people.
It's the last shoe left to fall.
Yeah, and if Kawhi goes there, the Lakers is going to be tough. But I like the Lakers. I like the Trailblazers. I think the Rockets are going to take a step back.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I just I don't expect them. I think they'll be good, but I don't think they're going to be one of the top 2.
Well, we're hearing a lot of reports coming out of Houston about how Chris Paul happy, and Chris Paul and the Beard don't
James
get along.
Harden
don't get along. So that never makes for a happy ending when your 2 best players don't mesh.
No, then also another Utah. They've made a lot of moves. Love what Utah's doing in the NBA free agency. They've signed a lot of big talent, and I think Utah's going to be very good. I think Mike Conley Jr. I think he's going to be a huge piece. Love his game.
Elton Brand did some huge things in Philly. He signed Al Horford away from Boston.
Yeah,
he's old. Not real sure how much he has left in the tank, but he's a championship caliber player. He also signed Josh Richardson. Got him in a signing trade for Jimmy Butler from the Heat.
Well, the thing with Horford, I just don't see him playing with
Tobias Harris.
No, not
Joel
Harris.
Embiid.
Yeah, with Embiid, him playing with Embiid, that's two kind of two centers that both use the ball. Which Horford, he's got a really good mid-range game. He can bring his man away from the basket. He's physical down low. That might be what Embiid needs.
Yeah.
They lost Redick. Redick went to the Pelicans. Huge news for the Pelicans. That's going to be really good having a veteran like Redick, a veteran Dookie going and kind of teaching Zion the way.
Yeah.
That's nice. Nerlens Noel stays in Oklahoma City. Want to talk a couple more. Jimmy Butler going to the Heat.
Yeah.
That right there is huge. I don't know if you've seen last night. Tyler Harrow went off, had 18 points in the Summer League game. He's looking very good, so I'm excited about him there. Frank Kaminsky, he's UK fans hate Kaminsky, but he left the Hornets. The Hornets they've got killed, in free agency, and we was talking about Celtics a while ago. When you talk about what's his name from Charlotte?
Michael Gilchrist.
No, the little point guard. The anyways, he's one of the top free agents this year.
Yeah.
From UConn,
Kemba.
Yeah, Kemba Walker. Having Kemba take and going there, and then you got Enes Kanter. I think them two pieces right there. That UConn there, I kind of get switched in them point guards because they always got the small point guard that's really good. And but Kemba Walker, I'm a big fan of Kemba, and I just think he's going to bring some scoring that they need. And then having Enes Kanter down low, I think the Celtics, that puts them right up there. If I like them better than I do Brooklyn.
Well, right now, especially without KD.
Yeah, but we're going to take. With that being said, we're going to go to commercial break here, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little girls basketball. Got some big news coming out of girls basketball, but that's it for this segment. We'll be right back, guys.
Ma'am, we've just been notified that you were in a crash. Are you okay?
No.
Was the accident your fault?
No.
Don't worry, ma'am. We have just dispatched the law offices of Shane Hall and Keith Hall. Everything will be okay.
Call the name you know. Call Shane Hall and Keith Hall, attorneys at law.
right, guys, we're back. Got some big news coming out of girls basketball here in the mountains, and I want to start with Pikeville 7th grader Trinity Rowe. Don't know if you've got a chance to watch her much, but she just received her first offer. She's still a 7th grader. She ain't started 8th grade yet, and just received her first collegiate offer from Coach Clifton Williams and the U-Pike Bears.
If this girl's good enough to get college looks and college offers in 7th grade, let's just be honest. University of Pikeville did a smart thing, jumping on this bandwagon early. Because if U-Pikes get jumping on the bandwagon now, there's just unbelievable potential ahead. So the thought process here might be the first to offer. Maybe they'll remember it when you become a senior and you got some other big dogs calling your name. That's
true. You got to play that loyalty card. You got to put it on the player. Like remember who was there first. And for instance, if I have a kid, I'm gonna name the last name Rowe, because the last 2 Rowe girls that we've seen in the mountains, Cassidy Rowe had 5 offers leaving middle school. And now Trinity Rowe gets her first offer before her 8th grade year. Trinity, she's a kid that she's faster than anybody on the court. She processes information so quickly. This girl is a legit player. She's a dog out there on the court. She's a competitor. And Coach Clifton Williams, what he did by offering her was just proved he was the smartest man in the room, because I promise you, Trinity Rowe will have tons of Division I offers before her career at Pikeville is finished.
The biggest step up from middle school to high school is the speed of the game. If you can come up, at that age and adapt to the change in speed of athletes on the court with you, you're special.
She's a 7th grader, and she'll start for a Pikeville team that will be one of the heavy favorites to win the 15th region next year. And with Trinity Rowe on that team, I'm telling you right now, Pikeville, when I say front runner, Pikeville's a true front runner. You got players coming back. Johnson Central's going to be good with Abby Maggart transferring over from Floyd Central. Floyd Central's going to be awesome with Katie Jo Moore returning. Belfry's going to be good. You got the Twin Towers down low, Kenzie Maynard and Katie Ball. Then you got Lindsay Phillips out there at point guard. You got Kiera Thornsberry, playing the other guard spot. They're loaded, Belfry is. Then you got Shelby Valley. Even without Cassidy Rowe, there was a girl, Zoe. She just come on here lately. She is a future star. She's going into her 8th grade year. She'll probably get the start on the other box from Alyssa Ellswick. Alyssa Ellswick, top 3 big, number 3 ranked big in the mountains. Just had 35 points, I think 9 rebounds, 5 blocks, 5 assists at the Rick Bolus camp. That's huge right there. Shelby Valley, even without Cassidy Rowe, Shelby Valley is a true region contender to win region. And Trinity Rowe, with the addition, how her game's grown, I'm telling you, Trinity Rowe may have Pikeville the favorite.
Yeah, that's. And then then you also got to look at some of these schools like Phelps and Eastridge in the summertime coming out and winning a lot of games, beating some.
That's what I want to say. Phelps, I was going to say, Phelps is the sleeper. Yep. It's definitely going to take a hit with losing Gabby, but when you got Danielle Prater, she's the best scorer in the mountains, hands down. Danielle Prater is a flat out scorer, and then you got Kylie Hall coming over. Yeah. You got Chloe Smith. That Kylie Hall addition is going to be huge for that Phelps team, and watch and see. Phelps will compete for a chance to beat Belfry and Pike Central in that 60th district.
Yeah. Districts and regions is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. I can't wait for girls basketball. That's kind of a sport. Girls basketball, they play better than boys. They're more precise in their moves, fundamentals. It's just something, the competitiveness. I love girls basketball.
Girls sports are
on the rise.
Yeah, they certainly are.
Yep. So then want to talk a little bit about, I don't know if you've seen Woodford County. Did you see the coaching staff that they've put together?
I haven't.
They got Eric Daniels, then they got Antoine Barber, and they just signed a friend of the show, Michaela Epps, as another assistant.
Wow.
Do you know any other coaching staff that's got that? Wow. Is that all you got to say? Wow.
That's pretty good staff.
That's
pretty good staff.
That's a hell of a staff.
Yeah.
When you talk about that right there, Michaela Epps, what she can bring, she's been an idol for the girls all across the state, for the last 6 to 8 years. Her dad being Anthony Epps, she's kind of basketball royalty here in the state. Then, having Eric Daniels and Antoine Barber on that staff, that is just huge. And not only that, their football coach at Woodford County is Dennis Johnson. So what they're doing there, if I had a kid, I'd want them to go play, for Woodford County. If I had a girls basketball player, wouldn't you?
Knowledge is power, man. There's a lot of basketball.
Not only that, think of the connections that them 3 coaches has got right there.
Yeah, they can bring in a lot of college eyes.
Yeah, a ton of them. So, I just wanted to give a shout out there. You talked about Eastridge there, not to skip over a more ago. Denise Campbell, any team that she rolls out is always going to have a chance in everything they do, because Denise Campbell is one heck of a coach.
She's a tough competitor. They're going to press. They're going to play tough defense, and they're going to be smart on the floor. Those are all staples of a Denise Campbell coach team.
Well, let me tell you another team that you really got to watch out for is Martin County.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, Martin County will be. They got the talent to, and they got a new coach. They tragically lost Coach Rice, Coach Jim Rice, to a car accident earlier. So his best friend stepped in there as coach, and what they're doing there at Martin County, they're going to break in that new gym and that new school in a great way.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yep, and want to take just come to our attention. Wanted to get your, you're kind of a lawyer,
Kind of a lawyer. I am a lawyer.
Yeah, you're one of the best car wreck lawyers they are here in the mountains. When it comes to personal injury, what you do here is great. But I wanted to get your take, especially coming from a lawyer, on Nike. They pulled the special edition shoe that they was going to release. It had the American flag, kind of the Betsy Ross, when back then how the flag looked, and Colin Kaepernick, had to open his mouth and say, I don't like it, and it represents a time in America when slavery was big. So, Nike listened to that and pulled it. What was your thoughts there?
It's unbelievable to me. There's the flag represents patriotism. It represents a lot to me, because my grandfather took a bullet to the hip on Iwo Jima.
Oh.
My dad's dad. So since I was a baby, I've always, so as long as I can remember, I've stood across my heart, and respected the national.
So was he on one of them boats that getting off the boat? Or?
He was actually a paratrooper.
Oh.
Not a lot of people knew that there were paratroopers on Iwo Jima, but he was a Marine paratrooper on Iwo Jima. I digress there. But so when I hear things like this, it blows my mind, and it shows some. Just to be honest, it shows some cowardice on behalf of Nike.
Yeah, it makes me sick.
So, yeah.
I'm a huge Nike and Jordan fan. Huge. One of the biggest you'll ever see. But this stuff right here that Nike continues to do, year in, year out, ever since Colin Kaepernick started this junk, it just blows my mind, and it makes me, like, it ain't going to stop me from buying Nike shoes, but whenever I go, if there's an Under Armour shoe that I like, I'll buy Under Armour over Nike just because of that.
Yeah.
It ain't the all end all, but it does play into my when it comes to buying and paying for stuff.
Yeah, it's eventually this will catch up to them.
Yeah. I agree. What they're doing. Listen, Kaepernick. Who is Colin Kaepernick? He's nothing. He wasn't. He had one good year. Yeah. Colin Kaepernick, and just because he had a bad day and he wanted to kneel for the flag one time. Here's my thing. What are you teaching, Kaepernick? What are you teaching the young people? You teach kids to stand up, for the flag. You teach kids, when you talk about God, country, what Colin Kaepernick is doing, that's just, it's teaching kids the wrong way. And, this right here, this is it's just something that, it's sad that America has played in to people like that. When you talk about like the NBA owners not wanting to be called owners anymore, wanting to be called, or players not wanting them to be called owners, wanting to be called governors, stuff like that, removing, generals and stuff. I understand, if the general was like a slave owner that beat his slaves or something, but if he's just a war general that fought for the South or something, that man, he went through a lot to get his statue there, and you wanting to take and move his statue, stuff like that, man, I'm telling you, I'm just through with that junk.
Yeah, that's why I like talking about sports, man.
Yeah, well, it's sad that,
it mixes
nowadays,
a lot.
Yeah,
It mixes a lot.
Yeah, it does. Politics and sports cross so much, and that's something that was on my mind that just come across. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Another thing, wanted to talk about real quick, Kentucky with when it comes to classification systems. West Virginia has 3 classes. What it boils down to is, in Kentucky, if you're a 6A school, it's kind of like being a 3A in West Virginia.
Right.
I don't know, when it comes to my feelings about it, I like the way that Kentucky does it. I like, having the 6 different classes. It just gives me more games to go to. But
well, as a KHSA, to make more money too.
Yeah, but what do you think? Do you like West Virginia or Kentucky?
I like West Virginia much better. The population in Kentucky is a lot bigger than in West Virginia, obviously. And, there aren't as many high schools in West Virginia, so it's a lot easier for them to have a 3-class system. But at the same time, I would love for Kentucky, I think optimally it would be the best way to do it to go to a 4-class system. Drop 2 of these 4 classes. That way, and
I would be for that, dropping a class.
I would say drop 2 classes, and then I'm not a fan of every team making the playoffs.
No,
that blows my mind.
Some teams don't belong in the playoffs,
and let's just be honest. You send some of these teams that don't belong in the playoffs to go to Somerset and play one of the best teams in the state, single A, you're taking a risk of getting somebody hurt out there, man. I mean,
and not only for the smaller team, but for the bigger team too, because a lot of the smaller teams, they just don't. I mean, they're bad because they're bad, and they don't know how to play the game. Yep. So,
I think it optimizes everything if you drop each class, drop it to 4 classes. Top 16 teams from each class make the playoff run. And maybe if you have maybe have number 1, number 2 seed from each district make the playoffs. I think that'd be I guess you'd have more than 4 teams. But
I tell you right now, I don't like going down to 4. I eventually maybe, but I would try it out dropping 1 class first. Then going down to 5 and then doing it from there. But the way that they do this, is they do it on a 4-year basis. So like right now, from everything I'm hearing, Johnson Central, Corbin, all right, they got to stay in 4A because their previous record of students allowed them to be there, but in 4 years, I'm hearing they're going to go up to 5A.
Right.
I'm hearing like Belfry, I'm hearing they're going to drop down to 2A in 4 years. That's if that right there, that's stuff that I'm really interested in seeing how that pans out.
Well, right now you've got a lot of flight from Pike County. A lot of people are leaving Pike County due to the economy.
Yeah, the jobs.
A lot of people are going to Scott County, going to Georgetown to work at the Toyota factory. A lot of people are going to Lexington due to a rise in job market there, and you got a lot of the coal miners. They're going out of state. They're going to places like Alabama, going to places like Pennsylvania, going to places like Oklahoma to mine coal.
Real quick, before we go to our couch guest, is want to ask you, in West Virginia, the big hot topic is should they have a Catholic system for Catholic schools? Right. Have the 3 classes and then have a separate one for teams like St. Joe's and them, just because they've showed so much dominance and where they're able to recruit and stuff like that. Do you think that's a good or bad idea?
I think I don't know enough about it. I'd have to look and see if maybe these is it just Catholic schools? Maybe all private schools would be in their own division.
Well, I think in West Virginia it's kind of the Catholic. I think is what they're doing.
The majority of the private schools are Catholic schools. Well, I would agree with it if all of them were about the same size. You know what I mean? Or if all of them are a lot smaller than most of the single A schools in West Virginia.
Yeah.
If it makes sense size wise, then I would say go ahead. Let them have their own class. But I mean if you have some of these private schools that are 3A schools, some of these private schools that are single A schools, putting them all into one class, that wouldn't be very fair, because then you'd have the 3A private school just kicking everybody's ass all the time. So
with that being said, we're going to cut over to our couch guest segment. We've got a very special guest this week, guys. We have the number 3 overall prospect in the mountains joining us in studio on our couch, and that's Mr. Riley Salmons. We'll be right back. All right, guys, Darryl McCoy here with this week's segment of Couch Guest. And we have our biggest couch guest so far, Mr. Riley Salmons from Pikeville. How you doing today, Riley?
Good.
You've had a huge week this past week, coming off the Rick Bolas camp performance. You went down there and you done something that not many people has ever done at that camp. I don't even know if any has. You was the free throw champ, the 3-point champ, the dunk contest champ, and the All-Star MVP. How did you feel about your performance when you left there?
I felt good. Well, the year before I didn't get any. I was walking out with my mom after the award ceremony, and I had her certificate like it's just participant everybody got, and I looked at mom and said it's going to be different. And so then I put myself in a gym at 6 o'clock in the morning and put about 500 shots up. And then after school, we'd usually have practice or something. Then I'd stay about 2 hours after my teammates left, put about 500 shots up, and just work from there. And then my OPB fam, On Point Ballers, Todd Howard, they put me in the gym about 4 days a week after I'd stay after practice or something, work on ball handling. And then after the regional champ, which we come a little short on that game, that motivated me a lot more. And I knew I needed to gain weight, so I went to Ralph Sloan at No Limit Fitness, and he's helped me gain 25 pounds and 5 inches of vertical.
Now, that's the thing that's really impressed me by looking at you this summer. The last year, you was tall and lanky. People that they could go inside, they was the potential of them putting you on a poster if you had somebody, a big body like Trey James or somebody like that. But this year, you're the one putting people on posters. You've added good 25 plus pounds of muscle since the end of season, and that's what I wanted to know. Like, when it comes to, I have you as the best pure shooter in the mountains, hands down. But has that affected your shot any?
No, like I said, I just keep putting up a lot of shots every day. Usually I go with Todd, On Point Ballers or something, work on my shot and my jump shot and my ball handling usually.
Now, you talked about coming up short in region last year. This year, the front runner right now in Shelby Valley, they have the big 3 with Potter, Warwick, Sykes. Then they have the young guns like Chaz Brown and Jacob Cottle. But with what you got coming back, the team that y'all's rolling out, and your running mates, has that kind of been fuel to your fire, knowing that everybody's picking Shelby Valley to win the region?
Yeah, that's put a fuel and fire on our team too, because we just keep working. We know we're going to be young, because I think we're only starting 2 seniors if they work hard and stuff, but that could change. But everybody else is mainly young sophomores.
Now, the Pikeville kind of has a dynamic duo when it comes to you and Lathan Hall. Mm-hmm. Both of y'all are from the Betsy Lane area. Y'all grew up playing together ever since you was kids. Lathan ended up getting a tournament MVP at the Rick Bolas camp. How much confidence does it instill in you, knowing that you have somebody like Lathan out there on the court with you?
That's just more fuel to me, and it's like we play good together. We know each other. We know like what we're going to do, and we just read each other and fuel each other work harder, and just helps us on the floor.
Now at Floyd Central, you really jumped on my radar when your 8th grade year. I think you had a game when you had 11 3-pointers in a game. All right, you chose Pikeville for a reason, and just from an outsider's point of view, you know, I got to think it had to do a lot to do with Elijah Justice. How has Elijah helped your game, and how has he helped you develop?
He's helped me develop on and off the court. He teaches us to be humble. He'll take us to church, and he'll take us to his grandmother's house or mother's house, and she'll cook us a big meal, and he'll, before games, like regional games, he'll tell us a big Bible story, and that just fuels us to go out there and put up a fight. And he puts like big college players in our gym, and they'll work out against us and the young ones, and it just gets us better.
Now, I was talking to you yesterday. You know, we caught up with you in a gym during a workout, and you talked about, you know, you thought it was important to give back to the youth, give back to the younger people, you know, make sure that, you know, when you talk to adults, you look them in the eye with respect. You know, you listen, you know, more than you talk. You know, you got everything that college recruiters tell me daily that they look for in a kid. And is that something that Elijah has helped you with, and you know, a way to handle yourself off the court?
Yeah, he's helped me tremendously with that, and he tells me, because he made it to Louisville, and he tells me what they look for. And I go to a nursing home that my nanny's at. I go there every day. My nanny's there, and there's this man that's a big UK fan, and I usually take a basketball in there to talk to him because the nurses really can't get him to move because he's kind of old. And me and him would pass a basketball, we'll hand it to each other and take turns talking about basketball. And he always says, "You're going to play for UK someday, bub." And he calls me bub and stuff, and it just fuels me even more.
Now, one thing that, you know, I wanted to make sure that I see every time you do something, every time, you know, anytime anybody talks about you, you know, I always hear stories about your father. You know, how much does that, you know, you wanting to achieve the dreams that you and your dad made together, how much does that help you?
That just fuels me beyond anything. Anytime I feel like quitting or something, I just go in my room, look at pictures of him, and think about what we talked about on my ball court outside, and that just fuels me. And I go out there and put cones up and shoot and dribble drills and just try to accomplish what he wanted me to.
Now I talked to your mother before, and she said, you know, your dream is kind of for you to play for UK one day. Is that something that you're going to go above and beyond and try to make sure that happens?
Yes, I'm going to make sure that happens.
Now, when it comes to UK, know you're a big fan. Right now, you're a 6'6" small forward. I know you've been working a lot when it comes to trying to, you know, work on developing your game when it comes around to helping learn the guard side of it. You know, is that something that you want to learn, and do you think that will help your ultimate goal of playing at UK someday?
Yes, I think it would help me tremendously because mainly their guards are about 6'6" now, like point guards and shooting guards, so I just work on my ball handling to sharpen it up a little bit.
Okay, Riley, we know you're a busy man. You got a workout scheduled with Ralph Sloan. I appreciate you for stopping by for this segment of Couch Guest, and I just want to tell you, keep doing everything you're doing because, you know, I know your daddy's got to be proud of you. So, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
That's it for Couch Guest. All right, guys, we're back from a great segment with Riley there. Great kid. Can't say enough. And what, that's a kid, sky's the ceiling.
It's the first time I met him when he came in to do the interview. Very humble, very nice young man who's got some amazing basketball abilities. Look forward to watching him play this year.
Yep. So let's talk. Who is the toughest football schedule in West Virginia out of our coverage area teams? When I talk about coverage area, Kobe, we got 6 teams in West Virginia that we cover on a normal basis, and that's Tulsa, Tug Valley, Mingo Central, Logan, Chapmanville, and Man.
Yeah. I chose Mingo Central, Darryl. I looked at some of these, looked at all those school schedules, and I took a look at Mingo Central, and nobody had this. They don't have a true gauntlet, really, all year long. I call a gauntlet a 4-game stretch where you just play tough teams, maybe 3 of the 4 are on the road. I think that's a tough stretch. They don't really have that, but they start off the season in the Pike County Bowl with state finalist Pikeville High School Panthers out of single A out of Kentucky. That's a tough way to start your day.
Yes, it is.
They follow that up with Wayne. That's a huge rivalry game. They've played down to the last possession the last 2 or 3 years, so that's going to be a tough way to come out of the Pikeville game. And then they follow that up at Logan. So I mean, that's just a tough 3-game stretch to start the season out this year. I don't know much about Sissonville, Polka, or Nitro, but that's their next 3 games. Then they're at Scott. They play Hoover, and then they wrap up at Chapmanville. So the way I looked at it was, a lot of these schools in West Virginia and Kentucky, especially Eastern Kentucky and Southern West Virginia, everybody kind of plays everybody.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really find a strength of schedule because everybody plays basically the same teams. But you look at the away games Mingo Central has. At Pikeville, it's in the Pike County Bowl, but it's at Pikeville High School. At Pikeville, at Logan, at Chapmanville. I don't think it gets much tougher than that.
Yeah, that's three tough teams. When I looked at the West Virginia, I thought the same thing. Mingo Central, out of all the teams that I looked at in our coverage area, I think Mingo Central's definitely got the toughest schedule. But you know what? They are the premier team in the mountains in West Virginia when it comes to West Virginia football, high school football there. And this right here is what's going to set that program apart from everybody else. And, this is how, the Pikevilles, the Johnson Centrals, the Belfries, this is how they built their programs, is by having top-notch games in and out like that. And the kind of road and path that they're going on right now, Mingo Central is one of the it programs in the mountains right now, and they got a tough schedule ahead of them, but this is the way to build the program.
Absolutely right. They had an early exit last year from the playoffs in West Virginia, so they're going to be hungry starting out. They're going to be ready to get on the field, and that first game against Pikeville, they're going to know what they're made of after that first game.
Well, let me tell you this, that first game there that's one heck of a way to break your season in, and you're going to know exactly where you stand.
That's
when you
right.
play the Pikevilles Panthers. Now, let's skip over to the Kentucky side of the river. I think we had, I kind of agreed with you there for a second, and then, I got to looking, and I think we're on different sides of the aisle there. So go ahead and give me your toughest schedule in Kentucky high school football in the mountains.
I went with Johnson Central. They open up with not too tough of a game with Lafayette, but then they go to Capital in Charleston, West Virginia.
Tough game.
Yeah, they made the state semis last year in the 3A in West Virginia. They follow that up at South Charleston, which is another big school in West Virginia.
Huge.
They didn't have a great record last year, but I'm not sure.
Still, they have athletes all over the field.
Right. So you got that. That's 2 away games. I looked at the road.
You know,
the road games.
Capital every year. Capital's right there in top 1, 2, 3 teams with a chance to win state titles. So that right there is going to be a huge game. For Johnson Central.
You follow that South Charleston game up with a game in Paintsville with this team out of Columbus, Ohio, called Bishop Sycamore. I never heard of them. I tried to look some of them up, up on some of them today. Couldn't find a whole lot, but they're out of Columbus. I don't know why Johnson Central would bring a team from Columbus that's just a cupcake to come down here and play. So
you got thing is, Belfry's having the same thing, having trouble filling a schedule right now because nobody wants to play these mountain schools and stuff like that because they don't get nothing from it.
Exactly.
These, especially Belfry and Johnson Central, them are 2 powerhouse programs that like to run the football. A lot of teams don't do it that way nowadays, and whenever they face these teams, they don't practice against teams that run like these 2. And so they get nothing from these games except for a loss. So
and getting their teeth beaten in too.
Yeah, that's not really a sweet bargaining chip there.
Exactly. If you were to come in and play Belfry and walk away with a W, come in and play Johnson Central and walk away with a W, you played a football game the night before, and you may even think you've been in a fight.
Yeah. So then you look on down there.
You got Simon Kenton after that. They made the 6A quarterfinals last year. And then you have 4 straight district games that, Johnson Central's head and shoulders the best team in this district.
Yeah.
But these are teams you play every year, so you can't count those out. And then obviously you wrap up at Belfry, and we all know what Belfry is.
Yeah, that's always the premier game of the year. It's the last game to end the season. Everybody waits for it. If them 2 teams are even, that's the game of the state, in my opinion.
At least of the mountains.
Yeah, well, I like that game right there, just as good as I do any game in the state. So, but, I kind of disagree with you. I want to say the Pikeville Panthers have the toughest schedule. They start out Bardstown. That's the game before the Pike County Bowl. Wow. Then they have Mingo Central coming in. Mingo Central, they're the powerhouse that they are. They have a high-flying offense. They have athletes all over the field. But, that's going to be a tough game for Mingo. Then you skip down to Paintsville. You talked about a 4-game stretch. All right, I'm giving you this 4-game stretch. All right, Pikeville. You got Mingo Central, Paintsville, Raceland, and Belfry.
That's tough.
That's the toughest out of every team I looked at. Every single team I looked at their schedule. That was the toughest 4-game stretch out of anybody's roster that they have. And Raceland, they're tough. That's a team that they come down here, played Pikeville a heck of a game last year.
Out of Ashland. There are a lot of athletes up there.
And then after the Belfry game, you got Lawrence at Lawrence County. Then you got Phelps at home. Then you go to Hazard. And then you got Jenkins. So, I really see, maybe three games on here that you can say Pikeville should for sure win.
Yeah. And
then the rest of them are, every week Pikeville's going to be the place to be because they got one heck of a schedule coming up.
I agree. The only reason, and I looked at Pikeville's schedule as well, and the only reason I picked Johnson Central was because
I know why you did, because you seen Phelps and Jenkins.
I wasn't going to say it like that.
Listen, Phelps is going to be a lot better. You're from Phelps.
I am from Phelps.
You know what they got coming up, and I'm telling you, Dominic Francis, you got the kid from Mingo Central.
There's a lot of talent on that roster.
Yeah, they lost a ton of meat now.
Right. Well, here's and I'll tell you what I thought. The way I looked at it, I think that Pikeville is farther ahead of their 2 district teams, Phelps and Jenkins, than Johnson Central is the 4 district teams that they have to play. I think that the Pikeville's going to have an easier time with Phelps and Jenkins than Johnson Central's going to have with their 4 district games.
Well, Phelps really seen what they was up against last year in that Pikeville game when Garrett Clevenger got hurt because, unless they can figure out something there at quarterback, I'm telling you right now, they're going to be in for a long day against the Pikeville Panthers. And but I kind of hate to see that. I'd like to see that game get up there. But that I just don't think that Phelps has really got anything for Pikeville this year.
I agree with you.
And then I ain't looked at Phelps' schedule. I don't know if they play Hazard before or after that Pikeville game, but if they play Hazard before, it's going to take a lot out of them at Hazard game. Hopefully the Pikeville game, they can play beforehand. But then Jenkins, I'm telling you, in 2 or 3 years, Jenkins, I'm not going to sit here and, feed you full of it and tell you that Jenkins is going to, have a chance to win district, all that, but Jenkins is going to have a solid team in 3 to 4 years. They got some really good things going on in their youth football.
Yeah, we spoke about that in a couple earlier shows. There's a lot of good things going on in Phelps and Jenkins right now. Like I said, I just think Pikeville is a little farther ahead than their 2 district games than Johnson Central.
I want to talk a few things going on in the mountains real quick in football. Transfer news. Mingo Central continues to get loaded. They pick up Jacoby Thornsberry. Jacoby Thornsberry, he's a top defensive lineman out of Belfry. Every camp, he goes out to California. He goes out to all these camps. He always earns top performers awards. He's just a big kid. Listen, I bleed Belfry Red. I'm not going to sit here and try to fool you, but I bleed Belfry Red. But this move right here, the Isaiah Birchfield, it kind of blew my mind. I didn't really see, the advantages, there, I just didn't see that. But Jacoby Thornsberry, that was a smart move in my opinion, I think, because, he can go up to Mingo and he can be the big dog because you just don't see players like Jacoby that big over there in West Virginia, and he's going to be that run stopper that they need.
The thing that hurts Belfry in this situation more than the other transfer we spoke about last week is this kid is what Belfry prides itself on. Belfry runs the ball with a great offensive line, and they stop the run with solid defensive line. You lose a key piece like that hurts Belfry more than schools like Phelps, Betsy Lane, Jenkins, with South Floyd when they were at school. We've always had the edge guys. We've always had the same. No, I won't say the same, but we've always had athletes that could play. You know what I mean? We've had wide receivers. We've had quarterbacks that could play. We couldn't hang with schools because of the meat up front. Yeah. We did not have the offensive defensive line to hang. When Belfry starts losing guys up front on the defensive and offensive line, Domingo Central, it starts taking its toll.
Well, let me tell you, Birchfield, that's a kid, man. Don't be selling that kid short because he's one of the top DBs that we have in the mountains. The kid is a shutdown corner. He lays pops on people. He's very physical. He's going to be great, for Mingo Central up there. It's interesting to see. I got thinking today, I was like, as hard as he hits, I wonder if they're going to plan on moving him to strong safety, instead of a corner because, instead of when they play Pikeville, Isaiah Birchfield's going in up against Pikeville, with and the thing too, like a lot of people don't know yet, but Belfry has a big transfer that came in from Tug Valley and Tyler Chaffins. The kid is a big, physical defensive back. He may play quarterback for him, so that right there is going to be huge. And against Pikeville, that Tyler Chaffins may help out a little bit, knowing his physical size and his strength against them big-time receivers like Jackson Hensley, Seth Pugh, and Clay Tinsley.
Right. I wasn't trying to belittle any of the defensive backs. I just think that, not saying that they're a dime a dozen, but you can't teach size.
Yeah,
you start losing those big boys like that. It's there are a few more boys on Pond Creek built like defensive backs than they are built like defensive linemen.
Let me tell you a name real quick. I promise you. Keep your ears out. Jacob Baisden. He's a defensive lineman for Belfry. the kid is a animal. He's a house cat. He's a monster on that defensive line. And I'm telling you, Big Jake Baisden, he's going to be a name that's going to be a household name before the season's over.
I'm excited about football. I'm excited about college football, too.
College football, real quick. What game are you most anticipating this year?
You and I talked about this yesterday when we did our production meeting, and we decided we weren't going to pick a Kentucky team or a Tennessee team. I'm gonna stick to my word. I'm gonna stay away from the Vols because I would pick the first game of the season because that's the one I'm most excited about when the Vols play Georgia State. But I think that the Georgia Notre Dame game is going to be that's the most out of the Vols. That's the biggest. That's the game I'm most looking forward to. My granddaddy, I spoke about him earlier. He'd probably roll over in his grave if he knew that I enjoyed watching some Notre Dame football. I do. They're going to play a team like Georgia. It's coming decently early in the season. It'll be the fourth game for the Bulldogs and the third game for Notre Dame, I believe. So Georgia will have already played one SEC game, but the Notre Dame game will come before their SEC slate really starts. So I think that I'm really excited about that. Both of those teams will know what's going on before they get going.
Of course, the game I'm looking forward to most, I kind of cheated here, but Belfry and Kentucky and Tennessee. Last year Tennessee got us on one of the best years we ever had.
Yep.
So we got some payback going. I kind of I'd rather win that than win a second game against Florida, just because what y'all did to us last year, and I don't think it's very American-like to have a morgue under your field. So if that's just something that makes you want to lay a beat, and I have a feeling a lot of them Tennessee players, they're going to be having permanent places under that field after Kentucky gets done with them.
Well, how long has it been 5 seconds? Because if it's been 5 seconds, Terry Touchdown just got sacked again by the Vols. So every other play he was going down. I think it's coming back.
Real quick, no. Ohio State, Michigan. That's the game.
That's always fun. That's
the game. I'm not sure where it's at this year. If it's at the Big House, what Jim Harbaugh's done there, it's going to be a real exciting game. And seeing what Ohio State has returned, that's going to be one of the premier games this year.
That's the hump Harbaugh can't get over right there in Ohio State.
Yeah, but we're going to go to commercial break, and guys, when we come back, we got the rundown.
Ma'am, we've just been notified that you were in a crash. Are you okay?
No.
Was the accident your fault?
No.
Don't worry, ma'am. We have just dispatched the law offices of Shane Hall and Keith Hall. Everything will be okay.
Call the name you know. Call Shane Hall and Keith Hall, attorneys at law.
Perfect.
My favorite segment, the rundown.
LeBron James gives 23 to Anthony Davis.
Tell you what, LeBron James giving 23 to Anthony Davis, kind of think that's kind of LeBron James going back on his word. That's Uncle Tom kind of thing, because 2 years ago, LeBron James said he's switching to 6 because no other player should wear number 23, and if he don't do it, nobody should. So now, not only did he wear it again, but he's handing it to Anthony Davis, and that right there tells you right there that
Women's World Cup.
Super excited to talk about the Women's World Cup. They won today in the semifinals, beat England on on a controversial call, offsides call, and scratched the goal for England, and they also had an amazing miracle save by the U.S. goalie to win the game for them. And they play the winner of Sweden and the Netherlands on July 7th. That's Sunday at 11 a.m. So everybody wake up, check it out.
Brad Calipari transferred to Detroit Mercy.
Super excited to see Brad Calipari gone. Brad Calipari he wasn't an addition to Kentucky. He was taking one of our roster spots. That, don't get me wrong, I like Brad, as a person. I've met him quite a few times, really like him, but he just, as a roster, he took a spot. And but I think Brad's a really good basketball player. And at Detroit Mercy, Brad's going to have a really good career. Watch and see, I promise you.
New York Knicks versus New York Nets.
I wanted to have this on the rundown because I talked about it last week. I kind of thought that the Nets were going to maybe take a step up over the Knicks. And if this Kyrie KD thing plays out as well as it could for them, I think they may have. I mean, it's with Dolan in charge, you never know what the Knicks are going to be, and the Nets look like they may be taking a step up.
Jerry Lorenzen, Freddie Maggard.
This is this obviously weighs heavy on my heart. Jared Lorenzen's a good friend of us here at David and Darryl Sports. He's both of them, him and Freddie, are former Kentucky alum. I know David, it's hit David really hard. It's just Jared, both these situations, the family don't want a lot out, but guys, please pray for Jared Lorenzen, he and Freddie Maggard. But in Jared's case,
Little League, Cal Ripken.
It's Little League time, man. It's Little League baseball is some of the most fun time of my life. Pikeville had a sweep 8 of all the levels of Cal Ripken. They won the district, all their championships. It's just a beautiful thing, man. Paintsville won their district on the Little League side. So everybody's moving on. Everybody's heading on to the bigger
Neil
tournaments.
Brown recruiting in Europe.
make me pull what little hair I got out. We got talent here in the mountains. Recruit us. Don't worry about overseas. We got if you want to go overseas, most people do it to get kickers because of the soccer and stuff. But soccer's become big here. We got kickers in the mountain. Jake Heatley, Grayson Cook. Come recruit them. They would love to play in Morgantown at West Virginia. Don't go overseas. Be a true American. And I love Neil Brown.
U of L football coach arrested.
U of L football coach getting arrested. That was just, it seems like a Louisville thing to do. Everybody gets arrested. So, I think that's kind of a rite of passage there. In Louisville, if you want to be part of the program, you got to go get arrested first. I think instead of a resume, they want a police record, to get a job. But I love Louisville football. This is just a sad situation. It happened beforehand. So
Tom Brady's human.
I wanted to talk about this. There was a tweet or a GIF or something of Tom Brady playing golf, and me being a huge Peyton Manning fan, I'm always looking for Tom Brady to slip and fall somewhere. And he looked just like me out there. He took a big rip with a driver, shanked it left, and cuts things all to pieces. So I was just happy to see that Tom Brady is also human.
Kerry Blackshear to Florida.
We talked about this last week a couple times. You and I were both hyped up, wanting him to come to the Vols. You were wanting him to go to the Cats. We always kind of knew that there was a couple other options for him out there, and it looks like he took one. So neither one of us had to fight over him anymore. He went to Florida like a pansy. We'll let him go down there and play in Gainesville.
James Dolan as an owner.
horrible. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm telling you, this man, he has killed me for a decade now. Bad moves after bad moves, giving washed up players, maximum contracts. He didn't even know what they was talking about. He said, I think we're going to be strong in free agency. You lost KD and Kyrie. What's strong about that? That's why you gave up our franchise for Porzingis. James Dolan needs gone, and he needs gone now.
$3 billion spent on the first day of free agency.
This is something that you guys just brought to my attention today. $3 billion spent on basketball players in the first day of free agency. The first 24 hours, $3 billion spent. That's that's money that needs to be spent somewhere else. That's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Travis Ford recruiting the Mountains.
Travis Ford, great player at UK. Went to Oklahoma State. But what I like about Travis Ford is he's staying true to Kentucky roots, and he's coming back. He knew what kind of player the Mountains produced just from his time in Lexington. So what he's doing, recruiting Cody Potter as a St. Louis coach. Cody Potter would be a future star there in St. Louis, and Travis Ford, that's his type of player. Cody can shoot, just like Ford, and I'm really excited to see Travis Ford here in the Mountains.
15-year-old defeats Venus Williams in the first round of Wimbledon.
Coco Gauff, I hope I pronounced that young lady's name right, beat Venus Williamson today in the first round of Wimbledon. She joins a slew of young, talented tennis females. Sloane Stephens, a young black girl playing some good tennis, representing the New York area well, and Naomi Osaka, who also beat Serena Williams in the U.S. Open last year. All three looks like young, talented young ladies. Hopefully they move up and play some good tennis for us to watch for the next long time to come.
Mark Stoops next Dan Mullen.
He was compared to Dan Mullen as far as turning the program around. I think what Mark Stoops has done at Kentucky, we got a top 20 recruiting class. That's how you build programs. You had the 10-win season. Before, the hard thing about recruiting is you're selling something. Now he ain't selling something. He done what he said he was going to do. Now the main thing is keeping everything up. And what Mark Stoops has done at Kentucky, I think he's made us a perennial power in the SEC, and we will have a chance to win the SEC championship.
Have a safe 4th of July.
Guys, hey, 4th of July coming up this week. Being a personal injury attorney here in town, here in Pike County, Eastern Kentucky, I deal a lot with car accidents, car wrecks. Just want to tell everybody to be safe, be responsible out there this weekend, and also remember what the 4th of July is all about. Celebrate it for the right reasons, and enjoy the fireworks.
And we hope Terry knows how to put it in reverse now, because he had a bad year a couple of years ago. But, guys, we want to say give a huge shout-out to all of y'all for joining in watching. And the main thing I want to say is next week we're going to be gone. Even the best of the sports writers got to take vacation. So we'll see you back here in 2 weeks, better than ever. Darryl McCoy, Kobe Page. See you next time.
Ma'am, we've just been notified that you were in a crash. Are you okay?
No.
Was the accident your fault?
No.
Don't worry, ma'am. We have just dispatched the law offices of Shane Hall and Keith Hall. Everything will be okay.
Call the name you know. Call Shane Hall and Keith Hall, attorneys at law.
Go ahead.
All right, guys, I'm Darryl McCoy.
I'm Kobe Page.
On today's show of David and Darryl Sports, we pay tribute to Gabby McCoy.
Got plenty of news from NBA free agency.
All that and more coming up next on David and Darryl Sports.